Hi, and welcome to another episode of Dr. T Talks. It's been a while, and this pandemic has definitely taken its toll on all of us. But I wanted to talk to you today not about what's happening now, but what is going to be happening when we near the end. And the end of the pandemic is approaching, and we have to plan for the world and what it'll be like when it finally opens up for our children. We hear a lot nowadays about people saying, I can't wait till it goes back to the way it was. But I want you to consider for a moment what happens if we don't go back to the way it was? What happens instead if we look forward and think about the world that we actually could create, something better for our children? Now, there are some things that are going to have to remain the same. We've learned how to prepare for a pandemic we were not prepared before. But keeping everybody safe and healthy has become of paramount importance right now. And so COVID-19 has taught us a lot about some of those processes that we need to keep in place. Washing hands, keeping distance from people who are ill, and making sure that when you are sick that you stay home and you quarantine from others. Let's face it, when the world finally opens and those floodgates open, there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be thrown at us. But we have to look at it too through the lens of trauma because the world has been traumatized. And the myriad ways in which we've responded to this has made us a more resilient and a stronger people, but not necessarily so for our young children, those who are preschool age that have not had enough life experience to understand what things could have been, what they should have been, and what they are now. For example, many children think that when they go outside, this is all they're going to see. And that everybody, if they're not walking around with a mask, is actually committing some huge transgression. It's going to take a while for them to acclimate to a world without masks, and that might still take some time. But it's important that our children be the center of our concern when those floodgates do open. They are definitely the most vulnerable population right now. Lacking any really early, strong, and high quality early childhood experiences, these young children have not had the ability to grow and develop as they typically would have had they been allowed to play on playgrounds, go to restaurants, and simply run errands with one of their family members. Large family gatherings are something that they don't understand. And so, as our children are let out into this world, and simple things such as running errands with a family member, learning to negotiate with peers on a playground, traveling to see grandparents, and then going to these really huge family gatherings. These might be very anxiety producing for young children. They might be traumatic because all they've heard is, we have to stay home. There's only going to be 2 or 3 people with us. And so they don't understand what these things are yet. So what we need to do as we learn to ingratiate them back into the more loving embrace of a bigger world, we need to do that cautiously. We need to hold them warmly, but not too tightly. We need to speak lovingly, slowly, but firmly, giving them boundaries that they need, but new boundaries that they understand the new world that they are stepping out into. They are likely traumatized, anxious, and scared of the germs that lurk outside. Sensitivity will be key. Perhaps the rooms that look very sparse and antiseptic now will be covered with warm, soft pillows, couches, blankets, things that we worried about having too much of because they held germs in. And so maybe when you take some of those things out of the closet, do it slowly and with your child's help. Just make sure that the environment is not too overwhelming, and be mindful of changing things slowly so that the child can digest it bit by bit. Each one of us is going to have to consciously choose how we move forward. Change is never easy, but it is a part of life and it is a part of growth. Embrace those changes that you're going to face and help others, especially young children, do it as well. And oh, what a world it could still be. This is Tamar Andrews with Dr. T Talks.